right, everybody. Welcome to the Pastimes Podcast. Each week we go through an old newspaper from a random date in history picked out by Dave Anthony. I'm Gareth Reynolds, and I've never seen it before, and neither is our guest this week,
Trae Crowder. Hi, Trae.
What's up? It's about time.
Thank you for joining
on the
me.
Pastimes.
Well, you wanted to do it in person.
Yeah, that is true. I did. Yeah,
and I remembered that, and I didn't want to do it with you in person.
Yeah, so it just was never going to happen.
So it was never going to happen.
So close that opportunity off.
And Dave also passed away 2 years ago, and we use an AI, so we don't want to let that cat out of the bag.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Yep. It's getting better too. It's really learning his ticks.
Yeah.
It says I'm going to block you a lot too.
You fuck.
I like that kitty cat back there, by the way.
Thank
I need
you.
to point out. Yeah.
Thank you.
I got a tuxedo cat that
You do?
runs my household. Yeah.
I didn't know
And a
that.
little like
I knew I liked you.
cream and gray colored crackhead one too.
I
Younger
love
than
a
her
little
two girls.
cream
Yeah.
and gray.
Mhm. Yeah.
Dave, jump
They
in
wow.
whenever. AI Dave.
I have an actual crackhead.
Okay. Now we know Dave's real. All right, Trae, let's get into it. First of all, you are wildly successful. You're too big for this show.
Not true, but I appreciate it.
Oh, good. That was a test.
Yeah, no.
You're going on tour, and people
Yeah.
can go to your website, TraeCrowder.com, but we should point out the Trae is spelled
TRAE. Yes.
which I'm sure has gotten in the way of your life. And then also your special is coming out on 800 Pound Gorilla. When is that coming out?
It's the
January 21st.
Okay. So
while yet,
probably
but, yeah.
near when this will come out would be my
that
guess.
would be great. That would be ideal if it works out.
Well, we'll
that
talk
way.
to Burns,
But,
our producer, who didn't
but
tell
yeah.
you to record a local and also take stories from this show for your other show that you do with Corey Ryan Forrester, who was on this show once and played a fart voice memo.
I know. I was going to bring that up because, like, to hear Corey tell it, that was like a legendary moment in the history of your podcast. You know, the people, everyone, he's in the annals of the Pastimes and the Dollop, or the annals. As it were. And so I was, I felt like I should tell people I'm the second fiddle to the legendary, fart man, Corey Forrester.
Your second fart chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to actually find some of my farts in my phone because I knew that was a thing he had done. But I think I've just like texted mine to him, and now they're just committed to the ether.
Well,
I don't have a folder.
I don't think he is a folder, and I don't think we want to open it up for our guests.
Yeah,
to
everybody bring their farts every week.
Yeah, that we're like a fart promotion show.
Yeah.
Even though Dave's dad did have a fart chair.
We are setting up a 1-800 number where people can just call in and
Just
put
leave their
their farts in. Just drop a voicemail with your farts.
Yeah. 1-800-YES-FART was available, and boy, did we jump on that. But all right, well, listen, Trae, this is not just a show about Corey's farts. We also go through this newspaper. You heard the intro. So how we like to start is the guest will guess what year they think this paper's from with no context. If you want a headline, Dave can give it to you. It's not going to help. And then I'll guess. And then Dave will probably say that you won the guessing game, even if you didn't.
I mean, so what's the range we're talking?
I mean,
like,
we did a 1600 once.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
With Adam Conover, but he kept being like, "This is fake."
Right.
So I
Is
think
that
it
like a
removed the stakes a little
transcribed
bit.
town crier or something.
Yeah, it was
report or
like like a guy who's like, "Imagine if trees took ladies."
That happens.
And then we did a 2001 one recently, so that's kind of your range. But I would favor in the middle of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1861.
It's a great guess. It's a great guess.
It just that just like when I think 1800s, I think the Civil War era because I'm from Tennessee and that's all we ever talked about when I was a kid. So and I picked the beginning of it instead of the end for some reason. I don't know.
Can I just say?
I defaulted to that part.
Let it go, man.
Let it go. I mean, really, let's.
Oh, and you're wearing a Dodgers hat, so this podcast might have a Civil War. Dave,
the podcast is hostile already.
Yeah, right off the bat. I know. I got to this app for anybody that doesn't know. Made this app if they're watching it. Can they watch this or is this audio?
Some can watch. Yeah,
they can watch it. Okay, I do have a Dodgers hat on. I'm also wearing a Lululemon shirt.
Wow.
But this is my real accent. I promise. I moved
you really
to Los
are.
Angeles a few years ago. I've never made any sense. That's kind of my whole thing.
You do yoga?
Yeah, a
Drink
little bit. No, I can't get into tea.
Okay.
I mean,
Eat meat?
sweet tea, obviously. Yes, I eat meat, of course. Okay. I don't compost either. I mean, I'm not. It's like, it's all relative. I'm I'm like the biggest hillbilly in my, Burbank neighborhood or whatever. But
if you move to Beverly Hills,
yeah,
could be interesting.
Now we have a sitcom.
Yeah,
We're rebooting everything.
I think they did that once, but
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Okay, Trae. So 1861. That's a good guess. I'm gonna go 1900.
You're a fucking idiot.
What's the year, Dave?
It's 1889.
all right.
I mean,
Yep, Trae
who
wins.
wins? Trae wins. Yeah, say this.
Trae wins.
Wait, so it's like Price is Right rules? You can't go over?
No, it's just
Okay.
that Dave
No,
always
just
says
you
the
were-
okay.
No,
You
one
were
time I guessed
closer.
the right year.
But
Yeah.
vibe-wise, it was wrong.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same way with this one. Vibe-wise, much more on top of it. Trae, you
All right, Dave.
just...
Dave.
It's the Pittsburgh Dispatch.
Okay.
Nice.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I think there was
Sunday.
a time for us to react to that, and I think we both did the right thing, Trae. Nothing.
All right, Pittsburgh. Okay.
It's
Trying to get people fired
title
up.
of the paper. Yeah. No,
This
I
is
got
when,
no
this is when they came up with putting fries on sandwiches.
Which, by the way,
Headline
shout
news.
out Permanis.
Yeah.
January 13th, 1889, year of our Lord Jesus Christ.
No, I don't think we're doing that.
J-Town
on
in
this one.
some circles.
Nope.
Important man rides a mini motorcycle.
It's a confusing.
Murder in fashion is the headline.
What's in fashion?
Murder in fashion.
Murder.
See, dude, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
Murder's also real hot right now. Very
Yeah.
fashionable right
No,
now.
very
Murder.
much so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't know that, it had its moment in the sun in the late
fashion.
1800s.
It was
Murder's having a
That
moment.
it is. I mean, it objectively is having a
Murder
moment.
is having a big moment.
Murder's so hot right now, dude.
Oh, it's really hot.
Ask my white woman wife.
Everybody's
She loves
doing
it. Loves it.
You've got to murder.
A wave of bloodshed. This is one with a bunch of headlines. A wave of bloodshed sweeping with a resistless rush over England.
Oh,
A wave of bloodshed sweeping with a resistless rush over England.
Okay.
There's a lot of stories on the front page from England. So I don't know if this is like an English immigrant paper or something, but the police powerless. An epidemic of burglary also worrying detectives.
Secondary could be connected.
Murder is the fashionable thing just now
I'm sorry.
in England.
Jose, stop.
Jose, hey.
Jesus Christ.
Jose.
He's murdered a chair.
Well, what did the chair
Claws.
do?
All right, keep going.
There's
Sorry.
no victimless. Murder is the fashionable thing just now in England. The success of the Whitechapel Fiend. Okay, that's Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So he started a trend. This is not
he started
about
a
Jack the Ripper. This is about a Jack the Ripper copycat. Yeah.
Yeah, because once you hear about, so you're in England at this time and you hear about how he did it, like cutting them open and doing it, you're just like, I got to get in.
Gotta get in on
sounds
that.
good.
I've always thought the copycats are kind of weird. I mean, I guess, they're not the most mentally stable, but it's like the second guy never gets the attention of the first guy. You know what I mean? Like the copycats never become famous. Like like, I don't know what they're trying to get in on. Everybody's always like, we're past that. Yeah.
What about Ted the Opener?
It's like Gallagher too.
I think got to spilling too.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
We're
No,
past
they
that.
don't. But I guess they do it because they think that they will get attention, right?
I mean, well, that's what I've always assumed. Because otherwise, why do it exactly the same way? Plus, they just call it copycatting, so it makes it seem that way.
That
but I'm
must
saying
really-
it's never worked once, so I don't know why anybody ever does it anymore.
It must
It really
really piss off the copycatter.
Yeah.
Like when people are like, oh, a copycatter, like, I'm doing my own stuff.
Yeah, right.
I'm taking the heads off.
Yeah.
He's ripping. I'm decapitating.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think they get into it. But I think they purposefully just, steal all the first guy's material and just only use that,
Yeah.
So they deserve to be called hacks. Is I don't know. They probably would like that.
Great, yeah. You're a hack. You're damn
Thank
right
you. I
am.
appreciate that.
That's why I carry this little axe.
Also, a bit of a slash, if I don't say so myself.
All right, so it has spurred many imitators to emulate his awful crimes. As the police and detectives seem unable to obtain any clue to the perpetrators, it is suggested that young Britons be trained to tell the truth so that when they do murder, they may go straight away and tell of it.
That's what they think the problem is, or the answer is.
It is so...
Just can't help but fib. You know what I mean? It's like,
you know what?
Maybe not. You can't train them not to murder. Do you know what I mean? Like that's out straight away. Like you know what? Try that, but we maybe can train them to not lie. And then they'll have to tell us when they murder. And that's a step in the right direction.
What's the bigger crime? The killing of the lady or the saying you didn't do it?
Your son's dead, but the truth is whoever did it is really in a bad spot. Because they're fibbing. We've got a fibbing issue. It's so similar to we don't have a mass shooter problem. This is a mental health crisis.
Yeah, right.
It's like, let's address the attitude of the people doing this rather than really try to address the obvious problem. We don't have a murder issue. We have a bunch of scoundrels not being honest.
Yeah, but it's not. They didn't call him Jack the Fibber. You know what I mean?
That would be a great one
because he also wasn't being very forthcoming about it at the time.
One constable pitching
that wasn't what people cared about. You know,
the real crime here is fibbing. We've got a Jack the Fibber on our hands.
Tories are exulting because the Parnell Fund in America is growing smaller. Sackville's defense admittedly weak. The Belgian queen and her daughter go into. Oh, this must just be.
Have you shifted to a new story?
Yeah, that's what I was. No,
I think it's a description of what's coming up.
Okay. What? It's a coming attraction in the paper.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Next time on Fibbing Spree, English Fibbing Spree.
I really want to read that.
I thought it was the start of the story, but okay. It is sad to have to say so, but murder in its most unattractive shape is becoming positively fashionable on this island.
Who is this Sacha Baron Cohen character?
Yeah, they got the gossip columnist to write up the murder spree.
But I wanted to talk about the dresses. We need you to cover this. Murder is so high.
Someone's being naughty, and people like it.
That blood splatter look on your face is majorly in.
Yeah, you are. That is slaying.
Slay queen.
Yeah, got slain, that queen. But did they? Would they say murder in its most unattractive fashion, or what? Something about
unattractive shape.
Unattractive shape. Yeah. Yes. It's like hangings, sure, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
so last year you
can't be disemboweling people. That's pretty.
So last year, let's see the guts.
Stories of wanton butchery come from every part of England to help the sale of the dull London papers and to increase the growing panic.
It's like murder beetle mania.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Also, that seems to imply that it's like that's the reason for it is to move papers or whatever. I mean, I know if it bleeds, it leads, but it makes it sound like the London Times, or Piccadilly Times, or whatever it was called, was out here splitting these ladies open.
Yeah.
Did you know that actually happened in Brazil in the 80s? Did you ever heard that story? There was a guy. I always forget his name and the name of the show, but there was this kind of cops type show. It was like a documentary crime show covering gang violence and cartel violence in Brazil in the I said 80s, it might have been the 90s, but it was super popular. And they had footage of gangland killings and all this stuff. And then people started noticing, and it was real violent and crazy because it was all real. But then they started noticing that the camera crew would get there sometimes before the cops. They'd be there to watch it happen. And people were like, this is like that Jack Gyllenhaal movie Nightcrawler, except more brutal and also real. And they found out the producer and host and presenter of the show and creator of it, who was this ex-cop, he was exploiting his gangland connections to set up these executions and stuff and making sure that his camera crews were there ahead of time to film it and all this shit. And he got caught doing it. And that was in Brazil in the 90s.
So he got caught being successful? I don't understand.
It's illegal to produce amazingly?
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. That's fucking crazy.
Wow, that is.
And so Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil.
It's very Brazil, yeah. The British maiden is fairly hysterical. The matron is chronically faint, and the steady Briton painfully worried in his mind. while the citizen with tendencies not toward law-abiding gives daily evidence of the spirit of emulation which fires him.
I'm not sure what happened, but they did say Tennessee. Trey, you want to pick it up?
Tendencies, right?
Oh, damn it.
I thought that too at first, and I was like, "Hey, leave us out of this shit."
Yeah,
but
like Tennessee's
I love how
loving
they at some point it was like a law back then. Any story at this time had to at some point mention that women are hysterical, like that got brought up, and it's like,
True.
well, they are being split open on the regular.
I know, and freaking out about it. My wife
they just won't
shut
up about it. Yeah, right.
She won't go buy food at night for me anymore. Right. I mean, it's really impacting the fellas.
This patent favorite phrase of Toryism, crime-ridden England, it may be incidentally mentioned, it is not quite as popular as it was, for Ireland, unlike England and Scotland, has yet to furnish an instance of a desire to outdo the Whitechapel fiend.
I wonder who they were like blaming this on. They had to have somebody they were blaming it. You know what I mean? Like it's always there's always a crime spree in the cities. They're always crime ridden or whatever. And it's like, I don't know if they had immigrants yet. In fact, at the end of that, they were like, they pulled a 180 on me and were like, Ireland and Scotland got this figured out, which I did not see coming.
Well, they always do. Ireland and Scotland are always like, we're doing way better.
No, I know that, but this is English people reporting, right? I didn't think they'd give it up for Ireland and Scotland.
But I think that's a way of saying like
this is how bad
we're so fucked up that we're worse than Ireland.
Even they are doing better than we are, which is gross. Because they're animals over there.
Until they can find the scapegoat, there. To your point before, they are being careful and being like, women are a problem.
I mean, they are loud.
Women are really a problem in this.
The Whitechapel murderers' exploits were promptly and universally credited to some foreigner, an American preferred, on the ground.
Fuck you!
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
I'm probably right. On the ground that the slaughter of the defenseless women was incompatible with the noble instincts of Englishmen.
Okay. So, all right, there it is. So I was just a little bit ahead of it. That's what it is. Funny that we were the Muslim refugees of the day, I guess the Americans were, but yeah, I knew that was coming. It's like, this is far too improper for an Englishman to have done.
It's a Yankee.
But also, I mean, that's not true, right? Like, because they are talking the Whitechapel murder. That is Jack the Ripper, and they famously never figured out who that was.
They didn't, but they think because of, I think the way he operated and the way that he cut women up, that he was an educated,
like knew anatomy and stuff.
Like a doctor type. So they think he was from the upper class.
Right, yeah. Educated yet savage must be an American. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Educated but lacking in decorum.
After every murder, he was heard to shout, "Awesome!" There's ranch all over this body. More ranch fingerprints.
But this characteristically British theory has been damaged by the readiness which the English mind has shown to imitate the Whitechapel methods, and the American with the low hat theory is gradually being abandoned.
What is that?
Wow. They're saying what I just said. They're saying, we're like, low hat. We're low class. We're shitty Americans.
Okay. I thought they literally meant everybody wore a hat back then. So it's like, just if you're going to go around murdering, pull your hat down so people can see your face while you're murdering.
Right.
Which is such a great time when there weren't cameras everywhere. You could just be like,
you could just do that.
I didn't see him. He did the, he did that real well.
That's all it took.
He's good. He clearly knows we're looking for him.
So much for that then. On to the next case.
I was watching an English soccer game this weekend, and there was a bugler, because it was their Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. And he was in full military uniform, but so he had the hat on like they do when they're dressed up in their formals, but the brim came down to his nose, so you can't see. The brim came straight down from his hat and touches his nose.
He was brimtish. I'll answer this, Dave. You've seen the guards at Buckingham Palace, also very
same thing,
pretty bad.
But they can't see with that. That's really dumb.
They can. It's just you're like this,
but not
go
well.
Like
well, maybe for the bugler, it's like maybe they don't want him to be able to see because if he beholds all the carnage, he won't be hitting the notes as well. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? It's like it's like a horse with blinders on.
Yep.
But in front of it, they're like murder blinders for the bugler, so he can keep the tunes going.
And then maybe for your soccer match, Dave, they didn't do it because then he'd be like, "Wait, people are wearing regular clothes."
Yes.
Well,
I look crazy.
That's upset.
You lied to me.
Yeah. That's the classic.
Do they still? Do you think? Do they still? I think now in war they just like blast Metallica through like their shared headsets
way better.
while they're fucking
they're
shredding people.
They're actually just playing Metallica. They're playing Metallica from the warehouse they're working in while they tap a button.
Do drone strike. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's pretty different. It's not
Seinfeld's on.
Yeah. Not quite as much pomp as the war drums and whatnot.
Sad bugler, like, do you have any job openings?
Yeah.
Still got my trumpet. Ready to go, Chief.
Yeah, that is way more metal and hardcore. Obviously, just
I watched I can't remember what the Netflix movie is called, but it's with one of the Hemsworths. Where
Extraction?
Yeah.
I
Extraction
saw that.
2. There's 2 of them.
Well, is that the drone one?
Wait a minute. You're thinking, no, that's the other Hemsworth and Russell Crowe. That's called Land of Bad. I have children, so I have to watch like dad movies, after they go to sleep at night.
Yeah, I was going to say, Land of Bad with your kids.
When them and my wife are asleep, I have to sit there with a whiskey and, be upset while I watch a Russell Crowe movie.
Well, that one was so goddamn funny because they are trying to provide the action from a drone room.
Yeah.
And at the end, Russell Crowe is piecing together some stuff to run back to the drone place to change like the droning.
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, well, they really are working so goddamn hard to give you that like action plot point for him where he's shopping and then he's like, wait, I've got to like figure out this drone now.
Yeah. It is. It's also funny. Like we were just talking about how like the shifting in technologies and war customs and stuff have, pushed out the buglers and other sundry other military positions, but it's actually kind of worked in Russell Crowe's favor because it's like earlier in his career, he played like he could play the super soldier dude or whatever. But now that we have drone rooms, like old fat Russell Crowe can still
eating bugles,
be in those movies. Instead of buglers, now it's just bugles, bags of bugles. Bit of a bugler myself.
It's so true.
Pouring them into his mouth.
I had to watch that movie because the name is just our propaganda has gotten so bad that now we're just like, bad place going in, like it's
Land of Bad.
So fucking terrible.
No good at all there.
We're sending in our assassins to Land of Bad.
No, you can't watch like a war movie from the 80s anymore because you're like, they shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Well, it's also like that with obviously there's still a ton of cop movies and stuff like that, but like for the 21 Jump Street, that reboot, which is awesome and super hilarious, but there's like a part I remember rewatching that in 2020 or whatever, and it's still very funny, but there's parts where they like are pulling their guns out and just shooting them in the air and like in the other guys and doing desk pops and stuff like that. And it's like, it just plays a little differently when that like cops really be that way. Well, they don't just shoot them up in the air. I saw one shoot a dog earlier on Instagram. Yeah. But,
no, it would be good to make a movie like that, like a cop movie, but from, the criminals really start trying to frame the criminals as the good guys in the story, just trying to feed people and trying to go home to their wives too.
Right.
And, like that should shift at some point. Cause that's the same, like when you grow up in that propaganda era, it takes a while to start to be like, now wait a minute.
Right. Well, I mean,
what they showed me is different than what I'm watching.
That's part of the reason The Wire was one of the best shows ever made. I feel like is because they were like actually nuanced with all that. They showed the cops being terrible.
Yeah.
Well, The Shield also.
Yeah.
And cops. I mean, we're all saying the same thing. Go ahead, Dave. It's a great show.
There's another London story. Must have her cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
A society sheet accuses the Comtesse de Paris of smoking.
I love when he does French.
I don't know.
It's my fetish.
Comtesse? I've never seen this word before.
Slower.
It must be some sort of title. Of smoking a short clay pipe, and not in private either, but as she drives about.
Ugh.
What?
Has she no shame?
What the fuck?
That's awesome.
Women can't do anything in public back then other than sit demurely. Let alone smoke or have her mouth open or just doing anything at all, expressing any emotion.
Waving, eating, or jacking me off, lady.
And probably a pipe too.
I know.
Yeah, a pipe.
Clay pipe.
She might be hitting the crack.
I'm hoping it's weed.
This is probably one of the tales for which society sheets are famous. Cigarette smoking by women, however, is becoming more common every day in England, where it used to be considered an awful crime. And only yesterday.
Oh my God.
But then they invented those little extended cigarette holder things, and
those are cool for ladies.
That turned it all around for the.
And then the dudes started
British
doing
ladies.
it. It was like, what are we at? That was like their neutral bathrooms.
Yeah, right.
They were like, what is a woman?
Yeah.
What is a woman?
And only yesterday I heard a certain well-known woman mourning because she had been over 2 weeks at a house where she could not smoke cigarettes after dinner without exciting comment, and had been troubled by her nerves in consequence. So she was getting shamed. She couldn't
wanted to
smoke.
Yeah, she was having withdrawals, which I've had.
Super relatable. Yeah, we've all been there. Well, not all, but I've certainly been there.
Yes, completely. I mean, that would be like the best way to do it, is to just put you in a room. But
although most cigarette smokers I know wouldn't be stopped by the scorn of the lady of the house or whatever. You know what I mean? If he leaning out the window, they'd just be like, "I'll just sleep in the street, bitch." That's what
I watched two of my friends. I was in Alaska a couple days ago, and I watched two of my buddies have a cigarette outside, and I was like, it was freezing,
right?
And I was like, I remember those. Yeah. Those are never good. Those are never that's never the enjoyable cigarette when you're like, fuck.
Yeah, he's like all huddled up.
Your lungs are already giving you cigarettes outside.
There's some camaraderie to it, though. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because I started smoking when I was 16, and I mean, I still vape, but hey, I switched off the hard stuff a while ago.
Yep.
And anytime I see a friend of mine I haven't seen in a while, or just meet a person who still smokes actual cigarettes, part of me is honestly kind of like, good for you, man.
Oh, hanging in there.
Sticking with it.
No, when you see them, you're like, oh, yeah.
You guys are still out there doing it, huh?
Keep fighting, man. Respect. Keep fighting.
Yeah. We all got to die sometime. Fine,
soon,
go for it.
Soon, probably.
Not much of a prodigy.
Jesus Christ.
Another London story.
I hope this is about an 8-year-old.
Right.
Terrible chimney sweep, I say. Been voted the worst chimney sweep in all of London.
Look at him. He's all chalky.
Right. Yeah. Wait, I keep forgetting. This is a Pittsburgh newspaper. It's just a lot of them are about
Pittsburgh
England
Dispatch,
and stuff. Yeah.
Obsessed with England murder and just shitting on England.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It's got to be for expats, right? It's got to be for the English who moved over. Another juvenile prodigy has just made his debut at St. Petersburg, where he hardly comes up to the average demanded of prodigies nowadays.
This kid sucks. Throwing tomatoes at a middle school or whatever. It's like,
that is so shitty.
And to put in the newspaper, that's when every adult, I feel like, should have an understanding. It's like, if you're in a scenario like that and then the kid starts and it's not that great, you all just kind of sit there sort of awkwardly and then like politely clap at the end. Right, and you're all thinking like, oh, that didn't go as well as he'd hoped it would. The poor thing. And that's
there's a reporter like,
like, yes, worst trombonist ever or whatever. Like, what was he doing?
Euthanize the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Send
him to the mines.
Yeah.
He's not even 8.
The canner. He's not even 8. Oh, I thought I was going too far when I said 8 earlier. I was like, "There's no way. 8 is too young." But
he is already 4 years of age. And
oh my God! No. I mean, in a way, that's good because he might be
not
too young to be
remember.
damaged.
Yeah,
You might be like just under the wire.
I think an entire concert hall booing you off stage or whatever is something that sticks with you. I don't care if you're in preschool when it happened.
You know, stage parents, they probably read him the reviews and were like, see? So you're not
The
doing
dispatch
great.
was none too impressed.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
He plays only Chopin, besides which his father has to work the pedal. His father has to work the pedals for him on account of the shortness of his legs.
Well, they didn't even need to do it because he can't do it. He's got tiny legs. It's like when a kid was on the Tonight Show.
Don't waste our time if you're going to come up here with those short little 4-year-old legs. Forget,
God.
They don't make stilts anymore?
Yeah.
Can't put stilts on him, Pops?
Yeah, 4-year-old prodigy caught with 4-year-old legs.
Yeah, you need to go to the circus. Let me show you how to put stilts on kids.
Let me know when he can touch the pedals.
Make them perform adequately.
Till then, my review's in. Thumbs down.
It's just nothing but Chopin, too. And it's like, I bet it was pretty good.
It had to be
a lot better than I could have.
Imagine if you saw a 4-year-old playing Chopin I'd be like, oh,
right.
Fuck. Crazy.
Blow my mind.
Wow.
I wouldn't. I would be like, wait a minute, his legs aren't touching the pedals. You're a fraud!
You shoved the dad. Get out of here.
His name, which will keep him from being very well known, is Raul Kozulski.
What? I don't even know.
They just
Are
took
they
a swipe at
shitting on the name or his lack of skill?
Name one time the English are not taking swipes at the Polish.
Yeah. I think I was thinking the same thing. I was like, when he got to a name which history will surely have forgotten in no time, that's what I thought they were doing. But then I think they were just like, yep, you got to change that name, kid. This is never going to work. But it's probably
not a stage name at all.
No, if he wasn't a little Polish kid, then maybe he could have, they might have been a little easier on him. Perhaps.
Shitting all over.
Evicted with trouble. This is, it's got to be Dublin, but it says Bublin.
I would guess that's drinking shade.
Maybe it's Bublin.
Could also just be a place in Pennsylvania.
They're definitely just ripping the English paper off fully because Pittsburgh's not going to be like, here's a little Bublin.
Yeah, they're just taking dispatch stories from
London. This is like someone handing you a decoupaged 3-ring binder.
What are you doing? What decoupage? What do you?
Would you rather me do the French? Is that what you like?
It's just not. It's not who you are. It's not.
I'm a big microfiche and I'm a big decoupage, and you know that about me. And jeweler's loop. I'll fucking dance.
Damn, bro. Yeah. I kind of know what microfiche is. Those other two things, I have no idea.
It's like minnows.
Yeah. Tiny little fish.
Tiny little fish. Macrofiche.
The most macrofiche.
When a goldfish has a baby, I say macrofiche.
You look at the macrofiche.
Hey, you understand?
The smallest fish you ever
I call it temple macrofiche.
Yeah.
Barely can see, huh?
Yeah. Okay. So what this is this is a paper for English expats in America,
okay.
and there is no Bublin, so they clearly just didn't care.
Dublin shade or whatever.
It's Dublin.
Right. Yeah. Right.
A party of officers engaged in evicting a tenant named John Heaney from his holding on the estate of Lord Lurgan in County Armagh today met with a vigorous resistance. The inmates of the house assailing them with boiling water and pitchforks. Yeah, because
nice follow up.
Yeah.
Right. They've lived through the potato famine. They know how fucking terrible you are. Irish used to really fight back against eviction.
Rise of the proletariat, buddy.
I think we also really have undersold how great hot water can be in battle.
Yes. Yeah.
Hot water.
Well, for a while,
sleep on it.
They were doing hot oil.
Yeah,
that goes even
worse.
That goes way worse. You definitely prefer oil water to the oil.
Oh my God, water! Oh no, it's oil. Oh, that's bone.
Now I'm really mad.
Oh, that's bone.
Yeah. Really good for your hair, though. It's really
beautiful.
Yeah, it really.
No, you
helps.
get that kind of like the magic shell you used to put on ice cream.
Yeah.
It's kind of that vibe.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love it.
Does it say why these people were being evicted or whatever? Because I'm sure it's like comically evil, probably.
I'm sure it is,
not remotely deserved or anything.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
and yet the brutes pushed back.
We're unable to bang their wives. All of a sudden, they got a spine.
The inmates of the house assailing them with boiling water and pitchforks. A bailiff was stabbed, and Lord Lurgan's agent and a policeman were seriously injured. The riot act was read. And then a number of arrests were made. Heaney's a prominent member of the National League, so he's a
baseball player.
He's a yes, he's a baseball player. He plays for the Reds.
Yeah,
he's a go fuck the English guy.
Yeah.
Which everybody is.
I'm about to say very popular back then.
Yeah, very popular. Still today should come back. I mean, should make a.
Yeah, well, I think in Ireland,
that's never
go fuck the English party is still going strong.
By the way, one thing, it's great that Brexit was like, we want to focus on our domestic issues, and then every other country is like, oh yeah, we're probably done.
Yeah.
My wife went to England with a friend of ours who's English. Ireland with someone who's English, and she said the difference of the way she was treated when her friend wasn't with her was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Really?
No, it's really nice to be like an American, like to be treated better as an American in a foreign country.
Yeah, right.
Because you're not with, you know what I mean? People are like, oh, finally. Oh, we've got a sane American here.
Yeah. So you said. You said, or you mentioned that the Riot Act was read, right? Like, was that a real thing? Was that like a process? You know what I mean? When there was some unruliness, some civil unrest, if it got really bad, if you got really bad, someone came out and read that now I must read unto thee the Riot Act, and that was when you could all be properly executed in public or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. It's basically the same as when cops say this is an illegal protest, the illegal gathering. Once they read the Riot Act, and it's like there's a few people here gathered together, and we're going to crack your fucking skulls.
Yeah,
basically.
It was the stop resisting.
Yeah, right.
Father Merriman, a priest of the Castle Connell, has received 3 summonses to appear in court to answer charges of inciting tenants to commit outrages. So there's the good guy. Yeah. Mr. Daly, proprietor of the Connaught Telegraph, has received 3 summonses under the Crimes Act for publishing articles calculated to incite people to commit crime. Okay, so that's all there is. But
so it's they were
just evicting someone from their house because they couldn't afford to pay rent. And so people were like, we should kick the shit out of the...
Boy, would they enjoy this era.
Yeah, and there was a priest actually being like, Christ-like, which is
it's funny. I was talking to my mother about this morning. Like, once the politicians started dragging the church into that shit, it really was when it all got so much more complicated. Like,
for sure,
it was like because my mother was saying how she goes into a church and she still feels comfort, and I'm like, that existed for so long, and then the second that it all kind of merged with the like the fascism and the politics, you were like, yeah, it's just a lot. It's just that line being blurred is like, yeah, now religion became like a turnoff to so many people because, the specificity, whatever, it was like a place to go hang out or be whatever. And then the second that you're like, well, no, because they are making children have babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
They definitely still had like, they still had like cardinals and stuff who were cozied up to,
there were issues.
Archdukes and things like that. But like lower level priests like Father Merriman of Castle O'Connell or whatever, which is all just very on the nose. But like that guy.
He was like, but you can't put him on the street. He'll have nowhere to sleep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's unholy. Christ the Father wouldn't stand for it.
By the way, I've got some holy water here. Shall we boil it?
Stole a brick house.
Not easy to do.
Is this a follow-up?
No, this is a new story.
Okay.
This is Louisville, Kentucky.
Finally.
In fact, a highly peculiar robbery was reported to police today. Miss Jane Ross, a wealthy widow who resides in Jefferson County, is the complainant. She owns, or did own, a 2-story brick building on 15th Street between Kentucky and Prentice. This is that portion of the village known as California.
Okay.
Okay. What's going on?
All the
Secession?
homosexuals are at?
That's what's going on.
I doubt it's gold there.
It's where they're wearing Dodger hats and doing yoga.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It is a very quiet suburb inhabited mainly by working people. The house had 8 rooms, a nice stable, and other outbuildings, and was valued at about $2,500. A tenant moved out of it 1 year ago, leaving it in fairly good repair, and as the owner demanded a stiff rent, there has been no one living in it since. This didn't trouble Miss Ross much, as she does not need money. It happened that she was never interested in her property enough to pay it a visit until yesterday.
Man, that fucking guy who was like in there just like taking like scrubbing his back with like her bath brush in there, just like eating whatever he could find when she comes home. Oh, hi.
I think you missed the headline, though.
Yeah, I think it's a different thing. I think.
Wait, what was it?
The headline
is she showed up and it's just an empty field, right?
Yeah,
is that what happened?
The headline is stole a brick house.
Yeah. And what she probably thinks, it's 1800. She thinks it's like some kind of warlock or magic or something, or some kind of like, illusionist or something like that, like Christian Bale from The Prestige pulled this off. When in reality, she hasn't been there for 2 years. So people have just been hauling it off brick by brick, I guess. Yeah, right. Slowly Detroiting it. Yeah, exactly.
There are boys in the neighborhood, and these began a work of destruction by breaking the windows with stones. Then some tore down and carried away the front fence. Perhaps other people concluded at this point that the house was a stray one, for they tore down the stable and other outbuildings.
That's awesome.
The shutters, doors, windows, floors, etc. disappeared.
It's got to be great when someone's like, should we start doing the inside?
Yeah.
California does not have many brick pavements, and the idea struck some people that these pavements were good things. This is why large loads of bricks began to leave the house, and in short time, all the neighbors had paved yards and sidewalks.
Nice.
I mean,
why not?
Sometimes it works out. She wasn't using any of those bricks anyway. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's if we replaced a brick house with Bezos, the story's also awesome.
Yeah.
Just take everything piece by piece, spread it out among the community.
Robin Hood it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but especially when it's actually worth something. But dude, this is 100% on this rich old lady. Like you can't just leave a building completely unattended for any amount of time. Like just like neighborhood kids and stuff. One day someone is going to be like, hey, when's the last time anybody saw somebody in that building?
Yes.
And be like, I can't remember the last time. And then we're like, well, let's throw rocks at it. Right. And they break the wood just because that's fun to do. And then when no one shows up about that, then you just start throwing more rocks. And next thing you know, they're like, let's just take it all. Let's just take it all.
I'm going to do the chimney.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
When the day that someone's like, let's go inside, What
do you think?
Is
it crazy to take the floors?
Yeah.
Trae, what do you think about the listeners who called that stance anti-woman?
What, me saying?
Yeah. We're reading some of the emails on this episode already.
It's just anti-landlord is all. Anti-absentee landlord. If landlord is a woman, then she sucks.
That falls into your... Okay, we just wanted to give you a chance to kind of clear up some of the... Because we've been getting a lot of emails about that comment.
Heartless capitalist pig supersedes woman for me.
Good. All right, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
The walls crumbled away and fell in, and in a short time, scarcely a semblance of the house remained. However, and possibly few of those who were appropriating a few bricks at a time had any idea that they were committing a theft. Right, because at some point they're just seeing rubble, so like I should just go take some rubble over there.
It's a Home Depot.
Free rubble.
Free rubble.
You guys heard? There's free rubble over here.
So they started a rubble bin.
The owner came in yesterday to see how her property was getting along.
Hello. There was a house here.
Yeah.
Where do I put my money?
I bet she almost fell out,
There was probably like two guys. There's probably like two guys taking like some of the foundation. And she was like, excuse me, like, hey lady, we're stealing this house before the owner comes back. Get what you can.
Yeah, did you get free rubble right over here?
Get free rubble. That's a nice fan.
Yeah.
After she had recovered from the shock, she made inquiries of some of the neighbors and learned what had become of her house. She knew she could make
the
nothing.
Best is the neighbor update. Yeah, a bunch of people were taking it.
Yeah, everybody just took a little piece.
Everybody just started taking pieces.
They're like moving over to like stand in front of the new sidewalk that they have behind. You know what I mean? Fancy sidewalk. It's like, yeah, I don't know. People are crazy around here. You know,
per weather vane on their house. Right. Yeah. If we find the bastards that did it, we'll help you get them because that's a crime. It's a crime against you.
She took her loss coolly. Across the street is a sand pit. As she turned to leave, she remarked, "Well, I'm glad my property isn't over there, or they would have stolen the lot, too." Harumph.
Harumph.
You weren't fucking do anything with it. God, rich people are just like, so, charging too much for rent and then doing nothing with the property. Fuck off. You've got
Dave,
too much
what do you
property.
think about some of the listeners who are sort of saying you're echoing Trae's anti-woman stuff? I think we should just try to get ahead of that a little bit.
Well, obviously, people.
I just want to give you a chance to kind of clear this up.
We've been getting accused because we are not, fully on board with Kamala, how misogynist and racist we are. And I would just like to say that's why. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like you've cleared this up as well as Trae did. But I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
But this is a deeply misogynist podcast. That's what we do.
I get a lot of messages about how, from people who say, hey, why is you guys are it's coming across how much you hate the undervalued in society on this show. And
we do not like
well,
them.
No.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to punch down.
More fun,
punching up is hard.
Like, it is. Yeah, your shoulders
all the way
hurt.
up there. Yeah, right.
Hey, you just get on your knees and just start wailing.
Punching down, nothing to it.
Did punching up get Tony Hinchcliffe to Madison Square Garden? No, punching down.
Absolutely not. Right.
That's what success is. That's how you do it.
Absolutely.
The best.
Yeah. So this is not exactly the same thing, to say the least, but what my friend's mom, when we were kids, we used to hang out at his house all the time, and she was a very sweet lady, and she let these two meth heads stay in her house for a while, right?
Cool.
She was like,
cool.
Yeah. Like, she was like,
killed it.
Yeah.
Nothing can go wrong.
Because they needed a
Feels
place
like
to
this
stay.
story's going in a good direction for sure.
And they those two meth heads abandoned a non-functional, rusted out 1982 Monte Carlo in her driveway, right? Like when they finally left, they just left it there. It didn't run. Yeah. It looked terrible. They left it. It sat there for at least 6 months. So one day I'm like 14 years old with all my buddies over there, and his mom's gone, and we're all hanging around on a Saturday, and we were like throwing a bowling ball off the deck onto beer cans and things like that.
Of course.
And then someone plays like Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, while we're throwing this ball. Next thing you know, it goes on the car. We grab every weapon in sight and just tear that car all to shit. Just absolutely destroy it. Tear it down to the blocks, basically, with yard tools and whatnot and a bowling ball. And they got really upset with us. And
who did the meth heads?
Yes, well, because his mom, very rightfully so, was like, "What the fuck?" Right? But
then a lot of damage.
She's like, "I have to tell these." So she told them that we had done it, and then they went to the cops and charged us and all this stuff, and made us pay the full amount for it, or we were going to have to go to juvie and all this shit.
What
even
was
though they
the
had
full amount?
It was like
$8.
No, it was. They got the Kelly Blue. It was not the actual value. It was the highest
value. Who hasn't
value.
the Kelly Blue Book screwed over?
Yeah, it was I think Kelly? It was $2,200 or something like that.
Oh my God!
Which was
guys.
It was scrap at that point.
But it's saying, yeah, right. And so I relate to these people in the gay part of Louisville 200 years ago or whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
There are women listening who are like, I don't understand what happened. And it's like, if you have never experienced the joy of throwing a rock through a window,
right?
You just don't.
We should point out that anyone who doesn't identify with that, this is really the energy that runs the United States and its military. This is what happened. A bunch of white dudes are in a room, Limp Bizkit's on, and they're like, Kosovo seems like slim pickings.
Yeah, but that would look cool exploding.
That could be fun to drop bowling balls on that population.
Yeah, from a drone. Up in the
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
bowling balls that explode.
Yeah.
The women that the dudes eventually let run with them also throw rocks to be part of the pack. So it's all, it doesn't change when you get the lid.
Disgusting take. Dave, let's get back to the paper. I think we're good. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Ally.
I don't understand this one. That's confusing. White cap lunacy.
There we go.
It has attacked the weak-minded in Suffolk County, New York. The white cap mania has attacked several little towns in Suffolk County. In Flushing, this notice has been served upon all members of a social club which meets between 1 and 5 o'clock every Friday morning. Headquarters Whitecaps Flushing Division, number 82. And then there's a response. Special order. Dear Sir, you are hereby requested to remain at home with your family evenings and stop visiting hotels, drinking whiskey, and neglecting your business or take the lash. The Whitecaps. Guys are going out and drinking and they're being threatened by temperance.
Okay, so the Whitecaps are like a temperance gang.
Yeah, it sounds like
the funniest gang, by the way.
Yeah,
it's like that gang serious. It's like Mormons. Like
they are. Speaking of Mormon gangs, did either of you ever see the Buttercream Gang movies when you were a kid? Okay, we got showed these in school. I'm pretty sure they were actually Mormon. But it was definitely like a Christian thing. But it was a gang. It was a gang, the Buttercream Gang, and the whole thing was they were like this gang of little white Christian kids who like did good instead of bad.
Hilarious.
Look it up, dude. It's a real thing. It's
wait, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in it.
Wait, really? I don't remember that. Like Is that true?
Maybe not.
It was definitely like there was like a series of them, and. I mean, maybe there was just the one movie. I don't know, but I feel like I remember multiple ones. But yeah, the Buttercream Gang.
Maybe it isn't Joseph. The kid looks just like that. Is fucking hilarious.
A gang of do-gooders refuse to give up on an old friend who falls in with a bad crowd.
The sweet-natured Buttercream Gang is about to lose its fearless leader, Pete, who moves to Chicago.
Yeah, it's like the missions or whatever they have is like, an old lady falls down in her house, and that type of thing, or they stop a bully from being mean to a younger kid.
And then they just start taking her house apart brick by brick.
Yeah.
He ought to be insulated. This is from Boston. A new feature of the electric car system was brought into startling prominence this morning. Police Lieutenant Briggs boarded a car, and the moment he stepped upon the platform, he received an electric shock that made him helpless. He was completely paralyzed.
Is it a Tesla?
No, he'd be on fire.
Oh.
He was completely paralyzed, and the other occupants of the car lifted him to the ground with the intention of carrying him into a neighboring house. Then another singular phenomenon was noticed. The moment Lieutenant Briggs touched the ground, the electric current passed from his body, and he recovered the use of all his faculties.
He was now weak. The lawnmower man.
He was weak, but otherwise he was uninjured.
Well, this was just back when they were still working all the kinks out of the whole electricity thing. Right? You know what I mean? Like, they still haven't figured out how all that really goes.
By the way, I feel like they still haven't, because that's not how it works, right? The second you get all these shocks through and you're put on the ground, you're like, I'm better.
Well, I know the only thing, I know that like it takes the fastest route to the ground or to a ground, you got it ground. So like
grounding.
So like, I could see that part. Look,
that's crazy that it would stay.
I'm lightning dumb, but like I'm electricity dumb. But I could see that. But it says before that they all picked him up, and that part,
what you'd think.
That part, I'm pretty certain that is not how it works. Like if they touched him, they would have been all we
really need to look. We're doing a lot of weird shit in this country. It would be a good time to sort of test to see if someone suspended by non-metalled wires can hold a charge
just forever.
Yeah.
You guys are missing what this is.
Okay,
he's a
lawnmower
cop.
Man.
He's a cop.
He's a cop. Just like all the cops fake the fentanyl thing, and like they're having.
Yeah, he's
doing a thing for attention.
He tripped and fell off of the trolley or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like blasted newfangled electricity. Dangerous to a hardworking man.
I was a Terminator for 8 minutes until I got up.
Yes.
The lieutenant is said to be susceptible to electric shocks, having once been in a house when it was struck by lightning.
I like how that's unique.
This guy's particularly susceptible to electric shocks.
So he's got a volt limit.
Yeah.
This guy can only take so much voltage. She's about 10,000.
It's because of previous. Okay, having once been in a house when it was struck by lightning, from the effects of which he suffered a severe shock. So he's got a little bit of electricity.
That's against your argument. He's not. No, see, this is an electric man. You're trying to blame it on whatever. You're like trying to blame it on this. You're burying the lead. You're missing the point. This is an electric man.
An X-Man.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, nothing happens to you if you're in a house when it's hit by lightning. You don't get electrified.
I know, Dave. That's part of his origin story. And when the car gave him... I'm not even going to do this.
Well, no, you're not.
No, it's like trying to explain how to play piano to a 4-year-old who sucks.
Looking for their husband. This is out of New York.
I'm doing that.
2 very young women are trying to find their husband, Constant White. 2 years ago, Mr. White.
That's just every guy back then.
Constant White.
I'm a Constant White as well. Hello. Also a Constant White.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Mr. White induced Amelia McDonough, 14 years old, to run away with him. Well, that's just how it
You'll
was.
have that. Yeah, back then.
Constant White, let's remember.
Yeah.
He lived with her happily.
I'm afraid you're a bit old.
Yeah, until the age of 17.
It's all right.
Yeah,
I normally like younger girls.
Look at
You're
this old
grossing me
maid.
out. Your breasts are perfectly taut, and I hate it.
I don't know.
He lived with her happily enough until 6 months ago. Then he deserted her after a quarrel.
We're just different.
Classic. Yeah.
I don't know what it is about you and I, but you just
Ever since you hit puberty, you're freaking me out.
You really want to play with your friends a lot, don't you?
This is also like it's the era when like a dude could run away with a teenager who's utterly completely dependent on him, and then one day he can just be like, "This ain't it," and then move like 3 blocks over or to the other side of the same town, and then just. That was that, and everybody would say to the 16-year-old girl, "What did you say to him?
Yeah,
what did you do to make him run off?" Yeah, from a pipe. And you're like, "Oh, well, see, there's your problem right there."
2 days ago, she learned he had married Miss Daisy Feist, 15 years old.
For fuck's sake. This guy's walking around, and everyone's like, "How are you, Constant?"
And he's like, "Well, I married her at 14." He's like, "I am now 36, so I thought 15 would be only right. I'm not a lunatic. I'm not a monster.
Playing the field illegally."
When she went to his house in Harlem to see about it, when he saw her, he ran away, and he now cannot be found.
Can you fucking believe this piece of shit?
I just don't know why did he have to marry him? I highly doubt they were like,
fetish.
Rich debutantes or something.
Is so
that he could get something out of it. Yeah.
He runs away.
Like on sight. Like she saw him and he turned and ran
like
away.
15 and he's like,
yeah.
37.
All right, last one.
All right, what a nightmare.
The coroners of adjoining counties quarreling over jurisdiction.
We've got quarreling coroners.
Yep, classic.
This is Bethlehem. That's Pennsylvania. Bethlehem?
Yeah, I mean there is a Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
This guy
could be the other one
because I did a real hidden show there once. It wasn't that great, but
really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was in some kind of venue in front of a hulking, like rusted out.
I've seen that venue. I think it looks interesting. Yeah.
It is kind of cool in a wild way because it's like a monument to the Rust Belt or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like some massive foundry that's been abandoned for years, and it's all and it's like there's a huge window behind you, and that's your view. Is that this, dilapidated piece of machinery?
Some factory owner's like, I was gone for 2 years. What the fuck is this? That was my foundry.
People gradually just taking apart in the background.
Do you think he needs this?
Coroner Weaver of Northampton County and Coroner Kemp of Lehigh County have been quarreling for months over their jurisdiction in holding inquests on bodies of persons who are injured in one county and die in another.
Wow. So
This is actually the
that is
inciting
amazing.
incident for the Vince Vaughn vehicle Apple TV original Bad Monkey, which I just started last night. Not to plug that movie.
Is that right?
That show. Kind of, yeah. They fish up a human arm, and they don't want to have jurisdiction of it because it's bad for tourism. They're like, shove it on Miami-Dade County, and Miami's like, that ain't our arm, that's your arm. So it's quarreling coroners upset about corpse jurisdiction.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's how that show starts.
Yeah, where did you live or where did you die? Who gets it? I mean, I think where you died.
Where you died.
Well, it's also like that. Did you ever see that show, The Bridge? People, I guess, yeah. It's like there's a dead body that's on the border of the United States and Mexico, and they try to figure out. So, this comes up a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like people just don't want to do, nobody wants to work anymore, guys, including coroners. You know what I mean? Nobody want to work back then either. It's like, no.
It's going to change soon. Once we get rid of the migrant workers, we'll finally just be able to have American coroners again.
I mean, when you're talking about like when the workload is cadavers, I would probably press to, keep mine as light as possible too.
I know, but when you talk to like people who work in that industry,
they love it.
They love it.
They love
like,
cadavers.
Oh, it's the best. You're like,
no more cadavers, please.
No, yeah, that's
give
what
me
they call
all
the
the
morgue.
cadavers. Yeah, I know.
They want more. Yeah.
They need to reboot Quincy.
Mm-hmm.
Trae, Dave's been pushing this for about 2 years on the show, and Dave, well, it'd be great if you someone set up a pitch meeting for you at Peacock, and you just walk in and they're like, all right, great. You're like, we need to reboot Quincy.
And then they're
you
like,
guys have my email, right?
Then they're like, that's a great idea.
Yeah. That's
exactly what we've been looking for. Yeah, right. I'd say Matlock's doing great, so this is a good idea.
It's always unfortunate when those shows where I'm like, no, stop this. And then they're like, the new Matlock is awesome. And
America's number one news show. Yeah, right.
Stop
exactly.
It.
What was is Matlock the one that's on Max or HBO or whatever?
No, it's CBS. It's on CBS.
Kathy Bates.
America's number one most watched network.
Colin Farrell does.
He does the Penguin prequel or whatever.
That's on HBO Max. That. The Penguin and Matlock are pretty different, but yeah.
I don't agree. I don't agree. Very similar.
Oh no, I'm not thinking of Colin Farrell. I'm thinking of the guy from The Russians.
Quincy.
The Russians. The Americans.
The Americans.
Perry Mason. Yeah, you're all over the place right now.
Perry Mason.
The Americans starring Matthew Reese. Matthew Reese, who stars in the reboot of Perry Mason that HBO did, which is also
without you, we would be cutting this part out of the show. It'd be 20 minutes. It'd be like,
that was a mess.
I got it covered.
Yeah.
But that was a great show. They canceled
Loved it.
That was a great show.
Pretty sure it's since been canceled, unfortunately, but it did hit for me.
Zizlov or whatever his name is a fucking dumb shit.
Yeah, he sucks.
On Wednesday, James Reihig, a railroad brakeman, died here from injuries received by falling from a train at Allentown. Coroner Weaver promptly held an inquest, but while the body was being taken to Lehighton, where Reihig had resided, Coroner Kemp intercepted the body at the Allentown depot and held a second inquest. As each coroner expects his usual pay for his services, the next fight will be over the payment of the. Oh, it's about the money.
They get paid on a per body basis, a per corpse basis.
Yeah, they wasted their time.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. And none of these, and usually coroners back then, still now, they don't have to have any experience. They're just a guy. Like, you can just be a guy and get the job.
I thought. I didn't have to be elected. Am I wrong?
No, everywhere's different. Some places they're elected. Some places you get picked by the mayor.
By the way, electing a coroner is also so hilarious to be
not great.
I'm torn. Yeah. I like the policies of him, but I just hate the tweets. I mean,
look, Bob is so good with dead bodies.
Bob's great, but it's the tweets. The tweet.
Yeah, I get it.
What kind of platform or whatever does a coroner even have to run on? You know what I mean? Like, what are the differences in coroner philosophy?
I'm gonna bring him back to life.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, I'm the guy giving them your blood. What? I don't know. What do they want? I'm Macca. Trae, thank you for joining us. As we said, people can go to your website, TraeCrowder.com, for your stand-up dates, and then you've got a special coming out.
It's called Trash Daddy. We on the lookout
Trash
for that.
Daddy. It's great.
In December.
You had a great episode, and you didn't even have to play a fart memo. So I think that's...
keep that in my back pocket. But
don't go lowbrow like the other guy.
Corey calls his anus his back pocket. I don't know if you know that.
I gotta go.
It keeps a lot of things in there.
It sure does.
All right. Well, thank you,
Trae.
guys.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Some of these days you'll miss me, honey.